Hey everyone, welcome to English Story Academy. My name is Kevin. I am 26 years old and I am from Spain. But just 5 months ago, I couldn't even speak a complete sentence in English, not even something simple like, "How are you?" without overthinking every single word. I felt completely lost. Today, I want to share how I learned English in just 5 months without paying for expensive courses, without traveling to an English-speaking country, and without wasting time on methods that simply don't work. But this is not only my story, this is your story too. If you have ever felt frustrated, stuck, or embarrassed because of your English, then keep watching because I was exactly where you are right now, and I promise that if you follow my journey step by step, you will understand exactly how to improve your English. So let's go back to the beginning, because my journey didn't start with motivation, it started with a painful failure that completely changed my life. The moment everything changed. I always dreamed of working for an international company. My goal was to become a software engineer in a big tech company. I loved coding, I was good at it, and I worked day and night to improve myself. Finally, after years of hard work, I got an opportunity. I applied for a major company in the United States, and soon after, the recruiter sent me an email saying, "Congratulations, you have been selected for an interview." I was beyond excited. I imagined my future, living in another country, earning a great salary, and working with talented people. But then, the interview happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. I opened Zoom and saw 3 interviewers, all native English speakers. They started talking and it felt like everything was happening at double speed. I couldn't understand anything. Then they asked me the first question. "Kevin, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience in software development?" I froze. I knew exactly what I wanted to say in my mind, but the words just wouldn't come out. I said, yes, I am, software, I do coding, many projects, good, I am very good." They looked at me, and that silence felt unbearable. They asked another question, but I couldn't answer that one either. Finally, one of them smiled politely and said, "All right, Kevin, thank you for your time." I knew what that meant. I had failed. Not because I wasn't skilled enough, but because I couldn't communicate in English. That day, I truly understood the power of English. It wasn't just a language, it was the key to my dreams, and I didn't have that key. I felt ashamed, frustrated, and angry with myself. For years I had told myself, I don't need English, I just need to be good at my job. But that moment showed me the truth. Without English, I was invisible. That night, I made a decision. I would learn English, and I would learn it fast. Most people start by paying for expensive courses, but I didn't do that. Why? Because I had already tried that path before and it didn't work. A year earlier, I had paid for an online course where I memorized vocabulary lists, studied grammar rules, and did exercises. But after 3 months, I still couldn't have a real conversation. So I knew that wasn't the solution. If I wanted fast results, I needed a different system, something practical, something that worked in real life. That's when I created my 5-month method, and now I will share it with you step by step. Part 1. The first 15 days. The biggest mistake beginners make is thinking they need more vocabulary. I thought the same. I believed if I learned 1,000 words, I would become fluent. But the truth was, I already knew hundreds of words and still couldn't speak. So for the first 15 days, I didn't learn any new words. Instead, I focused on using the words I already knew. Here's exactly what I did. First, I created a survival sentence list. I sat down and asked myself, what do I actually need to say every day? Then I wrote 50 simple sentences, like, "Hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand. I am learning English. I need a coffee, please." Every morning I read those 50 sentences out loud 10 times. At first it felt slow and uncomfortable, but after 5 days those sentences became automatic. Second, I started speaking to myself in English every single day. This was one of the most powerful things I ever did. Whenever I was alone, I spoke out loud. In the shower, I would say, "I am taking a shower. The water is warm. I feel relaxed." While cooking, I would say, "I am making eggs. I like eggs. They are easy to cook." At first, I felt silly, but then I realized this was my safe space. No one could hear me. No one could judge me. Within 1 week, my brain started thinking in English. Third, I practiced 5 sentences every day, but with a twist. I chose sentences from movies or real conversations and copied them exactly. I repeated them 10 times with the same emotion, speed, and pronunciation. This helped me sound more natural. After 15 days, something amazing happened. I stopped translating in my head. I could speak basic sentences automatically, and my confidence started growing. But that was just the beginning. Part 2. The real practice. After fixing my biggest problem, I was ready for the next step. I didn't just want to speak basic sentences, I wanted real conversations. So I created a new plan. I noticed my brain was slow when forming sentences, so I developed what I call the question-answer method. I asked myself questions and answered them immediately. For example, "What did you do today?" I started with, "I worked." Then I expanded. "I worked on my project for 3 hours. Then I took a break and had coffee." I kept adding details every time. This trained my brain to think faster in English. I practiced this every day for at least 30 minutes. My fluency improved dramatically. Next was pronunciation. I used the echo technique. I listened to native speakers, paused after each sentence, and repeated it exactly. Same speed, same tone, same emotion. After 1 month, my pronunciation improved so much that people started saying my English sounded natural. For vocabulary, I used the story method. Every day I learned 5 new words and created a short story using them. Then I repeated that story out loud 10 times. This helped me remember words naturally without memorization. To stop translating, I trained my brain to think in English. I described everything around me, asked myself questions, and wrote a daily journal. After a few weeks, English started coming naturally. I also made one strict rule. Every day I had to speak English for at least 2 hours, no excuses. Part 3. The breakthrough. At this stage, I focused on understanding real English. I noticed that what we learn in school is often different from how people actually speak. So I studied real sentence patterns. I learned how native speakers actually used grammar. I wrote down common structures and practiced them daily. I also kept track of confusing things like prepositions. I improved my writing by keeping a daily diary and copying native writing styles. I practiced shadowing, repeating speech instantly while listening. I watched movies actively, pausing and repeating sentences. Most importantly, I built confidence. I spoke without fear, even when I made mistakes. Then I faced my biggest challenge, talking to native speakers. I prepared common conversation topics, practiced daily, and joined online speaking groups. Slowly, I became more comfortable. Then one day, everything changed. I spoke in front of a mirror and realized I was speaking fluently, without hesitation. Later, I joined a real conversation with native speakers. This time, I didn't struggle. I spoke clearly, confidently, and naturally. That's when I knew I had done it. 5 months after starting, I applied again for my dream job. This time, I was different. I walked into the interview with confidence. I spoke clearly, answered every question easily, and showed my true ability. A few days later, I got the call. "Kevin, congratulations, you got the job." I couldn't believe it. My dream had come true. My starting salary was $5,000 a month. I called my parents and told them the news. They were proud and emotional. With my first salary, I bought gifts for them to thank them for their support. And in that moment, I realized every struggle was worth it. Key lessons from my journey. Mindset is everything. Believe you can learn. Surround yourself with English every day. Speak without fear. Practice active listening and shadowing. Learn vocabulary in context. Learn grammar naturally. Stay consistent. You don't need expensive courses, you just need commitment. Imagine yourself 6 months from now speaking English confidently. Start today. This is not just about learning a language, it's about changing your life. And remember, if I could do it, you can do it too. Stop doubting yourself. Start now. Your journey begins today. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like and subscribe to English Story Academy. I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. Let's do this together.